Rock.
Knack Hardware and Lounge.
We're rolling.
The Knack Hardware and Lounge brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1528, April 21st, 2025. 95 degrees was the record high that occurred in 1980. And you have to go all the way back to 1874 to find it as chilly as 23 degrees. And on this day in 2002, almost 7 inches of snow.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
We're past the rush or the most popular dates for ice outs. So from now until the last one, which is about May 5th, they're stragglers. Minnetonka went out on this day in 1891 and 1956.
Okay.
And White Bear went out on this day in 1952 and also in 1956.
And those ice outs are brought to us by our friends at professionalturf.com.
Nice new mouth. Well,
Three names. Hope. Well, let me start with something else. We lost a Pope.
Yes.
And I am here to tell you that I have a granddaughter who was 25 feet from him in Rome when he was brought out in the Pope Mobile for his last ever
That's
visit.
cool.
On Sunday.
On Sunday. And I have the video. Very cool. She,
Wow.
he did recognize her.
We did.
Yeah, and said, "Oh, there's
Say hi to Joe.
There he is.
say hi to your grandfather for me." And boy, she's going to remember that the rest of her life.
Less than 24 hours later,
Yeah,
he tipped out of the canoe.
that's right. And he looked very weary in this video. He couldn't really raise his arm to wave. He could raise his hands a little bit, but he was struggling. And I think it took all he had in him left to go out there on Easter morning.
Let me ask you a potentially ridiculous question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think in his mind he fulfilled his last duty and he said, okay, call me home. I'm done.
I absolutely think that. Yeah, I do.
I was also alerted to that video that was sent to you.
Yeah.
And I have it here.
Okay.
The Pope smokes dope. God gave him the grass.
Probably not the best timing for that one there, Gilbert Godfrey.
Is there
Too soon?
any chance that you could do some internal editing occasionally? Any chance at all? I'll take any chance.
Hey, give it a week, Chris. A week.
But it's fresh. We're not going to bring up the Pope.
So now the Cardinals have to get together and come up with a new pope. I wonder if they'll return to Italy. This fellow was the first Latin American pope, I believe. Well, wouldn't I be accurate in saying he was the first one from this side of the world?
Yes.
And I doubt if he'll ever take an American.
You don't think so?
Well,
You don't think Dolan's got a shot?
I like Dolan, but I don't know that he has a shot.
What is the process in all seriousness? Is it
The
you gotta be nominated?
the Cardinals of the world get together and they have a conclave, and they well, didn't you see the movie, The Conclave?
Sure.
You didn't.
Yeah.
So they lobby. They
Here, I
lobby
got a
without
guy.
lobbying.
I think the best popes are the ones who don't want to be the pope.
Right.
A lot of them don't want that. They don't want to. They don't want that.
Right.
Do they do the rookie? Come on. No,
Hey,
it's
nope.
No, see, if Rook was in there with a red hat on, he'd be saying, "I think I'd be a great pope."
here's
Yeah,
why.
I'd be lobbying hard. Like, you guys, you got to get this right.
And
I don't know.
Pope rookie here.
They'll probably go. Maybe they'll go back to Italy. Well,
The Deuce broke up that monopoly.
he was from Poland.
Right.
I predict maybe a pope of color, maybe a pope from Asia.
Greenwich Village.
No, I predict they will settle for something that will
Like a
be
Nigerian?
He cut some revolutionary cloth. He was a different sort, Jesuit, almost a typical Jesuit. You know that he favored many things that no previous pope. He eschewed the glamour and the trappings of it. You'll
also
recall
not
when he
a-
arrived there, he said, "I'm carrying my own bag. You don't have to pick it up."
Right.
And he was different.
He wasn't
Not
like
big
Pope
on
fancy.
free enterprise either.
No, he wasn't. He had a worldview of, I suppose, socialism would be a fair way to put it, don't you think?
Yeah.
And he, I don't think he was an outright income redistributionist, was he? Maybe he was.
He was pretty liberal.
He didn't like Trump's border policies. I know that.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. I was trying to think of because
Yeah.
he stirred it up pretty good with that, didn't he, Ken?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But much to admire about him. I didn't agree with him on climate change and things like that, but much to admire about the guy because I think he was really sincere in, don't give me the fancy BS here. I'll just,
Right.
well, give me your cot in a room somewhere and we'll be fine.
Now, you and Matthew go to Mass regularly. How will they approach this this weekend in Mass? Will this be talked about extensively?
No. It would have if he had died, let's say Saturday, Easter Mass could have been all about him. Mm-hmm. But now a week will go by and things will calm down, and I can't imagine.
Well,
that
he
it
won't
would-
even get a mention.
Well, yeah, of course, but I can't imagine it's going to be a big, drawn-out deal. He had a good run. He was 88.
So it's gonna be like us with you. What's coming up on the ride?
Yeah,
get a quick
basically, yeah. But that grandkid, man, that's a thrill.
That's
pretty
pretty
cool.
nifty.
Yeah.
That's nifty.
Well, especially for him to notice her. So,
Right. Say
call
hi to
her
you.
out. Yeah.
Give your dad or your grandpa one of these.
Yeah.
She didn't give him the devil horns, did she?
No.
Tell him the
like
Rook
that.
sent you.
Nothing like that. 3 names: Hope Walls, Dylan Brian Adams, Brian Luzinski. Hope Walls is the daughter of Tim Walls, and she's fair game now. She's an adult. Dylan Brian Adams is 33 years old. He's a fiscal analyst in the Walls administration. He has been found caught red-handed keying Teslas to the tune of $20,000 in damage. And Brian Luzinski is the McAllister hypocrite who lives in the suburbs but wants to call for the overthrow of the country because we're an evil, imperialistic, white supremacist place and we shouldn't exist. And he is helping to craft Wall's educational standards. Who do you want to start with? You want to start with Hope?
We got to start with Hope.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
yes.
Let's start with Hope Walls, who's given other indications of her ideological leanings. For example, informing George Floyd weekend rioters about movements of the National Guard, which she could only be getting from her father by being maybe even in the same room and overhearing a phone call, or maybe just flat out asking him, hey, Dad, is the guard on the way? And he might have said, no, that's not going to be till tomorrow. So she gets on the horn and starts texting the rioters, no National Guard tonight. Okay. And you got the wife, who liked the smell of the rioting.
Burning.
But now you got Hope is in the news, in the Daily Mail, if we can call that the news. But she's 24 now, and she made a viral TikTok video in which she insists that if Jesus Christ was on Earth, Trump would deport him as an MS-13 gang member. I'm having trouble connecting those dots, but if Jesus were alive today in the United States, this administration would already have taken him and removed him from this country without due process, she said. Walls added that the Trump administration would have claimed that he was a member of the MS-13 gang in a way to try to justify not giving him due process. But yeah, people don't want to talk about that, the Minnesota governor's daughter added. And so she got, is 46,000 views a big deal on TikTok? There's just a score of photographs, as only the Daily Mail can do. Scores of photographs of her and Albrego Garcia, and the responses she's getting to her TikTok are, yes, we are all Kilmar, meaning Abrego. No due process is coming for natural citizens, one person wrote. He was taken to El Salvador. Here's the problem, and I can illustrate this as today's show plays out. The problem now is that crime in this country, in this society, and it's certainly a sign that we're headed in the wrong direction. We're headed for destruction. But crime in this country is soon to be, if it's not already, going to be defined purely by your political position. Based on your political position, it will be determined whether a crime has been committed or not. For example, the left says Abrego Garcia is a great guy, totally innocent, no evidence of any crimes, which happens to be the case, I guess. And they say he's damn near close to canonization. The other side, the right side, said, no, he's illegal. Trump wants to deport him. So if Trump wants to deport him, he's a saint. So I don't know. We went through this last week. Is he a good guy or is he not? I don't know. Because what's taken over, see, people in this country don't think anymore and discuss. They only react. So if Trump wants to deport somebody, it's just fate that would suggest that person is great and shouldn't be deported. That's where we are. I don't know. I don't know about this. He's got MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles, but so I guess
maybe he's on leave.
I don't know.
I found her message on TikTok. I can play it to you, but I'll be holding the phone up to the microphone, so it's your call if you want to try that or not.
Well, go ahead. We'll give it a try. If we can't hear it, we'll end it.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Hold on.
Giving him due process.
Hold on.
Homegirl, he
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Never mind.
It's a good
Bad
idea.
experiment.
Never mind. It was a failed
That was fun.
experiment.
That was a fun time.
Sorry about that.
So that's
Geowish.
one name with the Walz administration. That's Hope. That's the daughter. And if Jesus was alive today. So I think what she's intimating is that Trump would be opposed to Jesus. I'm not sure that would be true. In other words, if Jesus was alive today,
The Christ.
he would be deported. Because what? Why? Would he be illegal? Or?
Yeah, why? I don't understand that.
Yeah. So it's Hope, though, and I don't think a lot of common sense comes out of the Walz household. Now you got Dylan Bryan Adams. He has been found to have been vandalizing Teslas.
Joe, she is remarkably ignorant.
Who?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
back to Hope?
I'm sorry I watched any of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, she's training then to be following her father's
Oh my
footsteps.
Lord, help us.
Dylan Bryan Adams. Okay, he damaged 6 vehicles to the tune of $21,000, which each of the 6 incidents is a felony damage to property. He's a Department of Human Services fiscal analyst. He has been arrested on the suspicion of causing this damage. He's on film doing it. Minneapolis Chief Brian O'Hara held a press conference on Thursday, along with MPD investigator Sergeant Rob Lechko, to announce the arrest and pending charges. Now, I would stop right there. Would the chief have held a press conference for the arrest of a Tesla vandalizer, no matter who the vandalizer was?
No, probably not.
No way.
See, I'm thinking they would have.
Really?
Only because it would be a feather in their cap because so many Teslas are getting vandalized that they might want to crow about finally catching somebody who did it. Right?
Yeah.
4 video clips were shown during the press, and it just turned out it happened to be this knucklehead.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Right.
4 video clips were shown during the press conference that had been obtained from the victim's onboard surveillance cameras. And once again, for you attending seminars at the Gumption County Institute for the Criminally Incompetent, Teslas are basically a rolling film studio.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they're going to watch you do this.
Yeah. You have no privacy if you're on the road next to a Tesla.
The video showed a white male who in most of the cases had a dog with him while appearing to key or vandalize Teslas in downtown Minneapolis and one at Target in North Minneapolis. O'Hara said the video show was believed to be the same suspect. Jail records show Dylan Brian Adams, 33, was booked into custody last Wednesday morning on probable cause charge of damage to property. Adams was released from custody just over 24 hours later pending formal charges. Available public records indicate that Adams is a state of Minnesota employee working as a fiscal policy analyst for the Department of Human Services. The New York Post claims in an article about the arrest that a spokesperson for Walls told them that Adams is not a political appointee in the Walls administration, but is one of more than 40,000 state employees. Okay, I buy that. It's not like this is a hand-picked guy from Walls. This is just a 33-year-old guy they hired as a fiscal analyst. Crime Watch Minneapolis posted on March 29 that a white male with a dog had been observed in downtown Minneapolis damaging Teslas. Dispatch audio from the time of the incident indicated that the man had been under surveillance by police at the time and that other officers stopped him on that date for identification. There was no indication of
Hold on, pause. So when he was doing this, he was already under investigation for doing this.
That's right.
Fail.
Well, Kenny, to answer that, Chief O'Hara said that the incidents took place beginning on March 18th.
Yeah.
They had him under surveillance. March 18th happened to be an interesting date. Does anyone recall?
Why is that, Joe?
Well, March 18th was the day that Walls, when he was on his vaudeville tour, said that he was laughing about the
stock.
the declining Tesla stock. He thought that was hilarious. That was over in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, did you hear the one about the...
Yeah, right.
Yeah. This is pretty stupid, O'Hara said, committing a crime with a spotlight on you, referring to the high-quality surveillance video technology incorporated into Tesla vehicles.
Which, again,
What's the point?
What point are you proving?
Right.
This even gets better. I didn't think it could. At least one of the video clips shown by police indicate that damage took place on Monday, March 24, just after 2 p.m., which raises questions about whether Adams is on work-from-home status with the state and if the vandalism took place while Adams was on the taxpayer clock. Isn't that wouldn't surprise me.
Wow.
That wouldn't surprise me. Well, here's my question. The Star Tribune does not have this story. And the Pioneer Press does not have this story. Okay. And I'm trying to think of and it's unreasonable to say, well, they don't have it yet. This has been out all through the weekend on various sources.
Right.
So I'm just going to flat out say they know about it. Okay.
Nothing's going to come from this. You know that, right?
It leads me to wonder about the editorial decision-making in both cases, both papers. Although the St. Paul paper is likely to do it, it might not be timely. Minneapolis is not likely to do it.
Got it.
Took them a long time to do the Keith Ellison story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering about the editorial decision. Could it be that the editorial decision is merely, look, hundreds of people are vandalizing Teslas. We're really not in the business of publicizing every one of them.
Sure.
That could be Okay, don't shake your head yet. That could be the editorial decision. The editorial decision would be, no, let's not print it because it would be hurtful to Walls. I don't know how. I'm prepared to believe that this was not a personal hire of Walls.
No, but your first statement could possibly be true if he were not an employee of the state of Minnesota.
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's the extenuating circumstances that makes this story newsworthy in my eyes.
And if on the first, and if on the same day, his boss, the governor, is laughing it up like a fellow over in Wisconsin about declining Tesla stock and how Elon Musk is evil and all that. If not, on that same day is when he broke the seal. That's when he went out and vandalized his first Tesla. So I think it's newsworthy.
It's like an initiation rite.
Yeah.
You're in.
So you got Hope and you got this guy. We didn't get to Brian Lazinski, although we've covered him in the past. He is a fellow brought on board for the State Department of Education to help introduce critical race theory and all its variations. And we have him on video saying that the United States should be overthrown. It's an evil, imperialistic, white empire that was founded by white people, and he doesn't like it, even though I think he has a nice house and makes a nice salary and lives in the suburbs. He's another. We always have room for hypocrites, and he fulfills that requirement.
Joe.
Yeah.
Two things regarding Adams.
Yeah.
Chief O'Hare stated that the case has been forwarded to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office for possible charges.
Right.
They'll never charge him.
How will Mary handle this?
Let him go. Number two, Lori on YouTube just brought up something interesting. She said, with a wink, sounds like Walls might have incited violence. Wink, wink.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to say about that? You know what she's making reference to, right?
The vandalization of Teslas.
No, Jan 6.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like Walls incited violence.
Yeah. All I know is I think it's newsworthy because of who the moron is.
Yeah.
And another example of the kind of stupid people we're hiring.
Yeah.
How smart can a financial analyst be if he doesn't know that Tesla's filming your every move?
So, do you think the Hennepin County attorney should throw their full weight and money against this guy, or is this
I don't
a
think
waste
it's
of time
complicated.
to pursue this?
It's not complicated. You are arrested on these felonies. You have to pay the consequences of that.
Do you negotiate down?
Well, he will, of course. Sure.
That's fair.
I'm sure, let's assume it's his first offense for anything. And, he had his nice dog with him. He must be a hell of a guy, Let's not worry about
What would
it.
move you to vandalize a car like that, though?
Stupidity.
Why such hate?
Because this country is almost. Let me return to that. Let me first tell you about your garage door. You never think about it, but you'll damn sure think about it when she conks out on you. Maybe you want precision garage door, MN to do a tune-up. That'll save you a lot of trouble. They're our go-to garage door guy in Garage Logic, Precision Door. Put this in your contacts, 612-263-6985. If you would wish to even pursue a new door, they're your guy. They have models for every budget. The designer comes out. That's all free. You don't bring the garage to them. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. The GLers have loved them. I've had them. They're crackerjack. They fix it right. They fix it right then. They inform you of when they're on their way, when they'll be there. If you want to go online, they're certainly amenable to that. And remember, if you get a new garage door now, Precision Door is throwing in that new motor for the new garage door. That's a value of more than $760. You can book them online at Precision Door MN, one word, precisiondoormn.com.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Boy, there's a lot of talk about equity in 2025. You want equity. Let's talk about the best kind of equity, the kind that gives you added value to your outdoor living space, thereby forcing your equity up and improving your curb appeal and fattening your wallet. You do that by using the company we at GL have been using for years, ProfessionalTurf.com. In addition to their lawn care service, the ProTurf Landscaping Division, they specialize in anything and everything landscape-related, mulch beds, trees, shrubs, any kind of water feature you can dream up, ponds, streams, rock fountains, retaining walls, raised. I could go on and on and on. ProTurf can do anything that you dream up. You got to run your ideas by them, or you know what, if you don't have any ideas but you know you need help, ask them to help. Their design team can show you all the possibilities with their landscape imaging software. Both Chris and I had ProTurf do landscape work for us, and the result was amazing. The added curb appeal and added value was really handy when it came time to sell, if you know what I mean. Get on that internet, check out all their past work they've done, and then sign up for a free estimate. Professional Turf, they provide superior lawn care, landscape, and irrigation service. They've been doing it since '82. Schedule that estimate right now, ProfessionalTurf.com.
Do we have Trump's Easter message that he gave to the
We do.
America?
250 years ago, our Lord and Savior,
250
Jesus
years.
Christ, whose full name, he was Jewish, so his full name might have been like Christowitz, but God rose him from the dead on a holiday we now call Easter. Not a lot of people know that, but it's called Easter. It's when Jesus and the 2 Corinthians met the Easter bunny and came back from the dead.
It was a very nice message.
They met the Easter Bunny.
Very uplifting.
You know, I have to take this moment, and I'm disappointed in all of us last week.
Why?
I don't think you were here, Rookie, on Friday when John had the news story of the plane that had suffered a malfunction because it had sucked in the animal, and
Oh,
it
the
was
bunny.
Oh, the
and
bunny
it was
rabbit.
a rabbit, and none of us had the brain power to link the Easter Bunny with that particular story. I'm disappointed in myself. Because that's low hanging fruit.
It
for
does
yours
seem
truly.
like something
That's
Joe
Holy
would
Week.
say
Yeah,
to
we
the
should
kids.
have picked up on that.
Let's get back to the show.
Got it.
The
Christowitz.
here's where we are in this country. The Hope, I don't mind speaking for Hope Walls. She's given me enough clues. The Hope Wallses of the world believe that the Brian Adams of the world, the Dylan Brian Adams who vandalized Teslas, could not possibly be guilty of a crime. We've come to this point. If your crime, as GLers would know a crime, if your crime is in response to your objection to Trump, or in this case Elon Musk, that's not a crime. So where does this take us as a society? I'm going to go out on a really big limb,
Okay.
and I'm going to tell you that I don't think it's healthy that we abandon the rule of law. I'm just going to go out on
All
a
right.
limb
That's
there.
your opinion, man.
And what you're doing, well, and Trump can be guilty of that too by not adhering to, I don't care if he likes or doesn't like a court ruling. We're still a country in which he should abide by a court ruling. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Or now, see, I just said Trump should abide by the court ruling. So people who think Trump can do no wrong will tell me that he has no obligation to abide by the court ruling. He is entitled to make that decision. We can't win here. We're going both ways. Dylan Adams, 33 years old, with his little doggy out for a walk, scratching up Teslas to the tune of $20 grand. That's not a crime because he's That's civic disobedience.
Right. I'm getting
Civil
back.
disobedience. And so that's not a crime. And for me to say Trump should abide by court orders, whether he likes them or not, I'm wrong. That's not a crime Trump's committing. That's not anything. That's not a wrongdoing Trump's committing. That's just Trump. He gets to do what he wants to do. That isn't true, and it's not true about Bryan Adams, Dylan Bryan Adams. So where are we? We're in trouble. Where will the Hennepin County attorney weigh in on this Tesla scratcher? He'll have to suffer some consequences. We still have.
No, she'll apologize to him.
If he was black, he would be apologized to.
$100 she apologizes and sends him home. Let's make it $5. The gentleman's
500?
wager. No, $5.
Oh, because I was going to
Gentleman's
take the
wager.
100.
Let's keep this gentlemanly.
Make it fair.
Well, I think that's the surest way to doom a civilization, and we're at that point. No matter what, I did a column Sunday. I don't know if anybody bothered to read it. Nobody reads the St. Paul paper.
That's still a thing, huh?
I read it, Joe.
Okay, John, what do you think the reaction was? It was a column in which I criticized the Walz administration for depriving private schools of the $109 million they would get in the budget.
I can guess.
Okay, just a minute. Depriving public schools of that, even though it's been a law for 50 years. For 50 years. And I said in there, you can make the argument that private schools save the state money because you can educate a private kid for $10,000 a year as opposed to $30,000 a year, and on and on and on and on. And I think the column stood up because I had history on my side. This has been taking place for 50 years. What do you think the reaction was, John?
Well, I think probably a lot of folks from the left started excoriating you because of all that money that's going to private schools that shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And it should go to our public schools to help our
right.
public
Completely
education
ignoring the
system.
fact that the people who send their kids to private schools are also paying to send the kids to public
Correct.
schools.
I'm sure that was never mentioned by those people.
No. So it falls in line with this theory I'm attempting to illustrate that was just seen as pro-Trump. That wasn't, people don't think anymore. They just react.
Right.
That wasn't seen as a column about a specific political issue in the state of Minnesota regarding schooling. That was seen as a pro-Trump exercise on my part.
And as we talked about last week, since we have no nuance anymore,
Right.
that one story labels you for many issues for those people.
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
No, you can't go the other way now.
Completely
Well, I wouldn't go the
disagree.
other way.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Other issues.
But they have never read the love mail that you get via email and YouTube and Twitter for your scorn of President Trump. You know what I mean? They accuse you of being a Trumper, not knowing that you really don't like Trump.
Well, it's not so much scorn. I had nobody to vote for in 2024. I didn't vote for Harris and I didn't vote for Trump. I had nobody. And I'm trying to understand it all. I'm trying. There's much I've said
That's
many
your
times.
problem.
Well, I've said many times there's much that Trump wants to do that I think needs to be done.
Right.
I've said that 100 times, but
Right. People don't hear that.
Did you write in rookie instead?
no, I have another interesting observation, though. The feedback I'm referring to, that John's referring to, is not printed by the newspaper. The newspaper no longer prints comments following stories. The St. Paul paper no longer does that. Haven't done it for ages. I don't even know why. I don't care one way or the other. They just don't do it. So the feedback that I assume John's referring to is Facebook feedback. Would that be accurate, John?
I didn't see any feedback. I'm just assuming
We
what
just know,
you got.
We just know, Joe.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was
worked with you
talking.
long
I
enough.
was talking to my brother, and he said, and his wife happens to teach at a Catholic school, and he said, "Hey, we were just talking about your column, and you should see the feedback." And I said, "I bet it's bad. He goes, yeah, 121 postings he read on Facebook. And they're all against me, which is fine, by the way. That's fine. But it's interesting to note that the 20 emails I got to my newspaper email account, I would say 18 of them were positive. So it shows, you know what? I don't know what it shows. It shows the anarchy of social media as opposed to somebody who read it in the newspaper, sat down, and wrote a brief email to the newspaper. There must be a difference in that person than there is in a social media commentator.
I don't think you realize how you're perceived by people who haven't listened to the show in 20 years or read a Souchere column in 20 years. They automatically assume, without knowing any of that you're a Trumper.
But that's my point. Nobody thinks anymore.
Oh, nobody does any research.
We're only reacting.
Right. Yeah.
We don't think. That piece had nothing to do with Trump. It had nothing to do with anything except this buffoon of a governor flirting with his ideological opposition to private education, thought it would be a good idea to take $100 million away from private schools because he looks good to the anti-Trump crowd and it looks good to the union education Minnesota.
I just went and found it on Facebook, all the comments, et cetera. And I'm just going to read one comment because it perfectly sums up what you said.
Yeah.
David, who I won't name his last name, said, well, I can see where this person's allegiance is. I can stop following.
Isn't that
immediately?
Isn't that something?
Yep.
He would be shocked if he actually talked to you in person. He would be shocked.
David.
I can't imagine this. It's just
David's keying Teslas.
see, and that would be the response on the other side.
Exactly. Exactly.
Boy, I'm sure he's got a pocket knife.
Oh yeah.
out.
Yep.
Well, you know what? You're right. It does go both ways.
Well, it's crazy. We don't have a society anymore.
Yeah. This isn't something that just the left does.
It's fun, isn't it?
All right, then.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
It's like wacky town.
Start looking at sports.
And I can't let this Hope Walls thing go before we go to break. I know, Chris. I just spent 3 minutes listening to her nonsense on TikTok. Joe, this is not a smart person. I don't think we should give any credence to anything she says, ever. She is not smart. She is uneducated. She's a boob.
Kenny, the best video of her is after Trump was elected. Remember the video she posted where she's in her pajamas.
Yep.
She's eating macaroni and cheese, and she claimed, well, I have to relax and watch SpongeBob right now.
Oh my God.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Get yourself a gummy, Hope. You'll be okay.
But here's the deal. My criticism of Walls means only one thing to the left. I am a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
That's all it means.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your criticism of Trump means only one thing to the right.
Yep.
You're a socialist.
You're a commie.
Yep. You're right.
You're with us or you're against us.
I'm well acquainted with that idea.
Ah, they're going to be okay.
Wow.
Chris Reavers and Kenny Olson, the only true Americans on this program.
Damn right. America.
It should not have come to that, but we've lost the ability to think rationally. No one's thinking. They're only reacting. And the evidence of that is everywhere. Let's just close out the bet on the Star Tribune. Will they or will they not have the story of Dylan Bryan Adams at scratching test?
They will have it
Question
on
of
a
the day
back
is-
page when the Attorney General sets him free and apologizes to him. That's when it'll make the
On a
news.
Saturday.
Yeah.
We have some Center of the American Experiment material to get to today. We're going to after John's news. We consult the Center of the American Experiment every day. I wish you would. Right now, they want to expose you, not expose you.
Hey now.
Hey.
They want to alert you,
There you go.
to radicalrepeal.com. It's an interesting take on on the look at the new education studies promoted by the Walz administration, including the fellow who wants to overthrow the country. But these are core tenets of an ethnic studies program the Center of the American Studies thinks you would find terribly interesting, and that's, first graders having to identify examples of ethnicity, equality, and liberation, and construct meanings for those terms, and on and on and on. It's all there at radicalrepeal.com. The Center of the American Experiment, we're lucky to have them. Great seminars, great newsletter, great speakers, great programs, great thinking, and great reporting. And it's the kind of reporting we're not going to get anywhere else. AmericanExperiment.org.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
You'll never in a million years guess what I used Seafoam Deep Creep for on Saturday. The only person that might get this correct was a guy that commented on Deep Creep and its uses on the GL Podcast live feed last week. Can anyone guess? Anyone?
That involved putting something away.
Yeah, okay. For the win, what was I putting away?
Snowblower.
Getting closer.
Snowmobile.
Oh, no, the plow.
What, was it for purposes of coding something or making sure something would start?
Okay, were you the guy that was driving by my house repeatedly on Saturday at 10 miles an hour?
You
that
coded,
I shot the bird at?
You know what you did?
What?
Because you're such a moron.
Yeah.
I bet you sprayed your snowplow blade.
I did exactly that.
Really?
That's exactly what I did. The Boss snowplow, time to put it away, put it to bed for the season.
God.
I sprayed the whole front of the blade and the cutting edge with
Did you think it would
Deep
rust
Creep.
out in one summer?
Yeah.
Well, what's it going to hurt, Joe? It dispels moisture. It keeps the plow looking fancy, and it's the perfect answer. You think I'm going to get down there with a can of wax and wax that
No,
blade?
I don't think so.
Okay, another question. Where did I find that can of Deep Creep?
You could have found it at the doctor's office.
In your cabinet.
I mean, they're everywhere.
No, wrong
You got it in your
answers.
chem cabinet.
No, it's in my
the truck.
vehicle.
In the truck.
Yeah, I have a can of Deep Creep in every vehicle because that's what everybody should do. Get yourself a whole case of Seafoam Deep Creep, a whole box of it. You may as well because you're going to use it on everything. We're talking rusty parts, cleaning, protecting, lubricating, displacing moisture, resisting evaporation. It does it all. Another fine product from our pals at Seafoam, Deep Creep.
59.60.
Here's John Haidt.
Just made it.
Thank you, Joe. This news is brought to you by North American Banking Company. A homicide investigation underway in Minneapolis after a man was found shot dead inside a vehicle late Saturday night. According to police, officers were called to the 2000 block of West River Road North around 10:15 in the evening. There they found a vehicle that had crashed into a garage entrance of an apartment building, as well as the man inside the vehicle. He was dead. He had been shot. Police say the man was dead by the time officers got there. He was identified as 27-year-old Deovon Collins of Maple Grove. Minneapolis police say it's the first time in more than 2 months that their department is investigating a homicide as a result of a shooting. The last fatal shooting reported on Saturday, February 15th. In St. Paul, no signs of foul play after 2 people were found dead inside a vehicle Sunday afternoon. It happened at the Shamrock Plaza on Lower Afton Road just before 5:30. When officers got there, they found a man and a woman inside the vehicle. No other details were immediately provided. No word on what may have caused their deaths.
I can't picture that shopping center.
Where is it?
Shamrock something?
Shamrock Plaza, Lower Afton Road.
I can't picture it.
Off of 52, right? Isn't that Lower Afton is off, or is that 61, Matthew?
61.
61, all right.
Speaking of St. Paul, Melvin Carter, the mayor, gave his State of the City address this morning. I listened to most of it while I was writing news and didn't get much out of it except Melvin saying that they'd like to revitalize downtown. That's basically
Well,
what
we
I
all would, Melvin.
That's basically
we all
what I
would.
got out of it, and they're put their efforts into that for the moment.
Well, speaking of that, John, I had Nick Halter on last week on the Weekly Scramble with Fratelloni and basically said that Melvin needs to do whatever it takes to not only keep the wild, but try to find a way to revitalize the X, because if that goes, it's shut it down territory for that city.
Yeah. I was surprised. He even mentioned all the empty buildings, et cetera, but I didn't hear any specifics of how things were going to.
Well, the state was no help. Walls was no help. You could have sent employees to work in all of those buildings. It'd be about a 5-minute walk. Instead, we're going to spend another $1 billion to build a new building for the office workers for the state.
Star Tribune reporting Minnesota lawmakers returning to work today are behind on crafting spending plans for K-12 education and the state's health system. Lawmakers adjourned earlier this month for a week-long Easter and Passover break after most committees took actions on portions of the state budget. But education and health committees in the House missed a key deadline as they worked to find bipartisan agreement in the two largest sections of the state budget. With divisions between the GOP and DFL and members of the House and Senate, they face an uphill road to finish by the May 19th end of the season. Representative Robert Bierman, a DFLer from Apple Valley, said the tie between Republicans and Democratic lawmakers in the House makes everything a little bit harder and slower and more time-consuming. Good news is House Speaker Lisa Damath and House DFL leader Melissa Hortman said earlier this month that legislators are working together in good faith to push budget bills forward. And, of course, a pretty stark contrast from the start of this year's session when a power-sharing dispute between Democrats and Republicans stalled House business for 3 weeks. Supreme Court today rejected an appeal from Minnesota asking to revive the state's ban on gun carry permits for young adults. The justices also left in place a ban on guns at the University of Michigan, declining to hear an appeal from a man who argued he has a right to be armed on campus. No justices noted a dissent in either case. Taken together, the actions reflect the High Court's apparent lack of appetite for cases that further explore the Second Amendment. The court has repeatedly turned away gun cases since its 2022 ruling that expanded gun rights and clarified a 2024 decision that upheld a federal gun control law that's intended to protect victims of domestic violence. And the interchange from southbound 35W for both east and westbound Highway 62 was closed for a brief period yesterday morning because of a fight on the highway after an accident.
Throwing hands?
Yeah. Troopers got to the scene just before 11 in the morning for the report of the crash. As troopers were responding, they were
11 on Easter Sunday. Let's throw down.
On the way to Mass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I said ham.
As troopers were responding, they were told people were fighting on the freeway near the crash. When troopers got there, they were able to separate the parties. However, while investigating, a trooper was assaulted by a man who was involved in the crash. That man arrested, he's identified as 24-year-old Sir Moses Williams of Minneapolis.
Oh, he's a sir.
He's a sir, yeah. He's being held for probable fourth-degree assault at the Hennepin County Jail. 2 other men, both from Illinois, taken to the jail for assault. 29-year-old Takari Grant of Chicago and 26-year-old Anthony Hicks of Franklin Park. Authorities haven't said if the trooper was hospitalized. However, another man identified only as a 20-year-old from Minneapolis was taken to HCMC for non-life-threatening injuries. No word on what caused the crash, the type of vehicles involved, or who and why the fight started.
I don't think that's going to help his case.
It's like a Jerry Springer episode out there. There's words exchanged every single crash. And the next thing you know, wigs are flying out, bosoms are popping out, dresses are coming down.
People are upside
crazy.
down. John, what was the intersection?
It was 60, was it 61?
62.
No, 62
62, I'm
at
sorry,
35W.
and 35W. Yeah.
Right at Mendota there.
No, the Crosstown Commons.
Cross, yeah.
Oh,
crossed.
okay. Yeah.
Why don't we take a quick break before national and international news and hear from Mr. Reavers?
You know what tomorrow is, gentlemen, don't you?
Tuesday.
Earth Day. Earth Day. Earth Day. Earth Day is coming up. That'd be tomorrow. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out.
I already did.
This isn't about hugging trees or buying bamboo toothbrushes. No, our friend Ben and his team at Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com are serious about 2 things. 1, making incredible maple syrup and making sure that there are still maple trees around for your grandkids to tap into someday. And now GLers have a chance to help Ben with this effort by doing something kind of cool for the planet for just $49.99. Masters Maples will plant a sugar maple sapling in your name. And here's the best part. you don't have to lift a finger. They do all the dirty work, the planting, the watering, the pruning, the protecting. Heck, they'll even send you a certificate with GPS coordinates so you can see your tree from space. That's right. You can name it after yourself. Joe, maybe I'm going to buy one for you.
I wish you would.
You could dedicate it to a loved one or just brag to your friends that you've got a tree somewhere doing good things for the earth. And yes, you can go hug that tree just like the mayor would like himself. And as a thank you, Ben is going to send you a $10 Masters Maples gift card good on your next purchase with every maple sapling purchased. So if you buy 5 saplings, you'll receive 5 gift cards at $10 each, and there's going to be no expiration date. So help out the planet and score Pancake's best friends. It's a simple way to make a difference. And you can check it out online at mastersmaples.com. Under the products tab, drop-down menu, that's mastersmaples.com.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
You know, on this show, we're always looking for a ray of hope. And for a ray of hope, you can look no further than Minnesota's Freemasons. For a couple years now on Garage Logic, I've been sharing with you all the great things Minnesota's Freemasons have been doing. They do really big things like donating over $6 million annually to support cancer research, aging studies, and children's communications disorders, and awarding scholarships to dozens of high school students each year. The 8,000 plus Freemasons throughout Minnesota working together to make a better world, the world a better place, I should say, by focusing on the core values of friendship, personal development, and helping those that are in need. Minnesota's Freemasons are also helping mentor the next generation with the really exciting initiative, the Civility Project. The Civility Project is so Garage Logic. It's a series of events throughout Minnesota designed to engage the younger generation, teach them the significance of decorum, kindness, and civility in today's society. The project emphasizes values that are more important now than ever. You know that. Putting down our phones, making genuine eye contact, and learning to walk alongside those who may see the world differently. It's just another example of Freemason at work. The next Civility Project, that's going to be May 29th at the Duluth Masonic Temple. There will be also other events later on this year in Farmington and Red Wing. If you'd like to learn more about Freemasonry and the Civility Project, please visit mnfreemasons.org. That's mnfreemasons.org.
Thank you, Rook. In other news, Pope Francis has died, as we said earlier, at the age of 88. He had a busy final day celebrating Easter Sunday, greeting crowds in St. Peter's Square and meeting U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. He emerged from his convalescence on Sunday morning to bless the thousands of people in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, treating them to a surprise Pope-mobile drive through the piazza. The pontiff had delegated the celebration of the Easter Mass to another cardinal, but after it ended, he appeared on the balcony over the Basilica entrance for more than 20 minutes. On his way to the Basilica, Francis briefly meeting with U.S. Vice President Vance, who was spending Easter in Rome with his family. As for what happens next, there will be 9 days of mourning set to be observed by Catholics. During that period, the Pope's body will lie in state at St. Peter's Basilica for 3 days ahead of the funeral. Daily prayer services and masses will be held. While papal funerals are typically ritual-filled affairs, Pope Francis had previously approved of stripping back the process last year, confirming his plans for a smaller funeral and burial outside of the Vatican. The College of Cardinals, or the highest rank of Catholic bishops from around the world, will gather at the Vatican to talk about the future needs of the Church and elect a new pope. The new pope is elected by a pool of cardinals, who are the highest chief officials in the Catholic Church after the pope himself. Cardinals are hand-selected by a pope, typically already bishops, which is the next highest rank, above a priest and a deacon in the sacrament of holy orders. Only 120 cardinals, there are about 200 worldwide, who are under the age of 80 are allowed to vote in a conclave, and the pool is known as the cardinal electors, who must take an oath of secrecy before taking part in a pope election. Supreme Court temporarily banned the Trump administration from deporting a group of Venezuelan men over the weekend, directing officials to keep the group in the U.S. while legal challenges proceed. The order passed 7-2 with Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas dissenting. It was issued around midnight Friday night our time. The directive is the latest in the emerging confrontation between the court and administration over immigration policy. The gunman responsible for killing 23 people and wounding 22 others in a mass shooting at an El Paso, Texas Walmart in 2019 is expected to plead guilty to capital murder charges today in court. That plea deal brings the long-running case to a close and avoids the death penalty. Investigated by officials as an act of domestic terrorism, then 21-year-old Patrick Cruzius drove more than 700 miles from his Dallas home, entering the store armed with a semi-automatic rifle and wearing headphones and earmuffs. A 4-page anti-immigrant and white nationalist manifesto was uploaded to the website 8chan minutes before the shooting, suggesting the specific store was targeted due to the demographics of the city, El Paso 80% Hispanic and Latino. Sentencing will come on top of 90 consecutive life sentences handed down in 2023 on federal hate crime charges.
You think the Pope will go out pine box?
He seems to be a minimalist of some
You
sort,
can't.
doesn't he?
He doesn't want a $10,000 unit, does he?
No, but don't we have to keep him on ice for a while and show him?
That part I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be shown in the at the.
I bet he goes out pine box.
Yeah, he seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
DHL Express suspending deliveries to the United States that are worth more than $800 because of a significant increase in red tape at customs after the introduction of new tariffs. The delivery giant said it will temporarily stop shipments from companies in all countries to American consumers today until further notice. Meanwhile, Beijing is threatening to punish countries that appease President Trump in trade deals while hurting China's interest. China's Commerce Ministry said it will firmly oppose any nation striking a deal at its expense and will take countermeasures in a resolute and reciprocal manner. Meanwhile, stocks falling again today as President Trump ramped up attacks on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, raising questions this morning about the central bank's independence, while traders received little signs of progress on global trade talks. As of this hour, the Dow is down about 1,300 points, the NASDAQ 600, and the S&P down 180. S&P, by the way, down more than 8% since April 2nd when Trump first announced the levies. The NASDAQ has lost 10% in that time. The Dow down 9% in that time. The Israeli military has said professional failures led to the killing of 15 emergency workers in Gaza last month. An inquiry into the incident by the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, found a series of failings, including what they're calling an operational misunderstanding and a breach of orders. The deputy commander of the unit involved has been dismissed for providing an incomplete and inaccurate report during the debriefing. A spokesman for the Palestinian Red Crescent Society said the report was invalid because it justifies and shifts the responsibility to a personal error in the field command when the truth is quite different. Video, which surfaced days after the attack, showed the vehicles were clearly marked as medical vehicles and all had their lights on as driving through. That contradicted original Israeli claims that the vehicles were never identified. An odd story from Staten Island. A blaze, there's a lot involved in this story, so pay attention. A blaze that started on Staten Island started with sex toys being set on fire in a backyard.
Boy, that's pretty kinky.
Yeah.
And then spread quickly.
That's hot.
Just destroying the home of an 88-year-old woman and has left her living in terror, according to her family.
Was she the owner of the
No,
implement?
she was not. No, as you will see here as we move along.
Yep. Set her on fire.
It's a different kind of sex toy than that, as we'll find out in just a moment. The first night she had a nightmare. She screamed really loud, said Angela, the daughter-in-law of 88-year-old Lillian. She's talking to herself, saying she doesn't understand. She's just trying to understand. The blaze forced Lillian and her daughter, Sophia, to take refuge. Sophia said, I woke up crying. It's not that it was luxurious, the place that burnt down, but it was mine, and it had my stuff. Sophia, who is living in the West Brighton home as a caretaker to her mom, grew up there with her 8 siblings. The structure, now drenched with water used to put out the fire, as well as lots of charred wood. New furniture boxed in the basement has been flooded. The fire all started last Wednesday around 3 in the afternoon, and it quickly spread to 2 neighboring buildings. 37-year-old Harry Torres was charged with arson and reckless endangerment, according to the FDNY. Torres was arraigned Thursday and released without bail. His lawyer did not respond to a request for the comment. Torres told investigators, I started the fire. I was in the backyard at my house, and I lit 2 sex toys on fire. Torres used lighter fluid and told investigators he was trying to get rid of the DNA on the sex toys,
Oh, sure.
which were replicas of female body parts, if you know what I mean, according to a police source. One neighbor said Torres...
Chris knows what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Reeves is nodding.
Such looks very confused.
puzzled. One neighbor said Torres seemed, quote, a little off. Luckily, there were no injuries in the fire, although 2 vehicles that were in the vicinity were destroyed by the fire.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a weird story.
That's
Any way you look at it.
Harry Truman, Doris Day.
yeah. Thanks, John.
We didn't
That's,
start the fire.
Sure.
That was terrible.
Where does a guy get one of those
For a
from?
while, I thought he was talking about one of those Sawzall things where it's
Yeah.
mounted on a Sawzall.
Oh,
but
no.
Evidently. That's,
Jeez.
or that tractor seat thing.
I don't know what he means.
I'm a city slicker.
Here, we'll show you on the break.
We'll show you.
Or a Fifi.
You want to move to South Dakota?
Boy, do I.
Sioux Falls would be the choice, especially if you're in business, want to expand your business, start a new business, relocate. South Dakota is one of the most business-friendly states in the country, and Sioux Falls is growing, 290,000 people with a ready and willing workforce. But best of all, in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, no state corporate or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. They are governed there differently than we are, for example, in Minnesota. Very tax-friendly, hard-working, most popular to move to, according to top10.com. 50 best places to live for families. Sioux Falls is rated in the 50 best places. That's according to Fortune magazine. And one of the best small cities for Gen Z workers. Did I mention Entrepreneurs Welcome? I think you're watching a video right now of the construction that's underway in Sioux Falls. Find out everything you need to know. It's one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
It's time to play What a Hardware Store.
Yes.
Swing and a miss.
I thought Kenny was doing something here.
He is. He's staring
I am?
lovingly into your eyes.
What am I doing?
I don't know.
Nothing. Joe
No,
was
I've done
confused.
both of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Are we done with John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go
That was
home.
2 segments.
Let's wrap her up.
I have
See
to-
you guys
I
tomorrow.
wanted to tell you
Got it.
Thanks, GLers.
Thanks, bud.
We have a new glitch. The list of this is from American Experiment, Tom Stewart piece. The list of highly promoted rollouts of state government websites that have crashed and burned over the years includes that disastrous 2013 Minsure website debut. Now, Walz wasn't the governor then. That cost the executive director her job. That was followed by the backlash against the years late $100 million over budget Minnesota licensing and registration system that was called MinLars. And last year's meltdown, within minutes of going live, of the Department of Revenue's website to give away taxpayer-funded e-bikes. And now we have a current one. There's a big glitch in the rollout of the new digital fishing license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Minnesota anglers are going to need a paper license despite last year's assurance by the DNR that outdoors licenses and registrations would go digital well before opening day. The agency has been working on a $3.5 million project since 2021, and last year hired a former head of the DNR's Fish and Wildlife Division to solve potential problems and provide leadership for the system's final development. Still, the DNR and its project partners Minnesota IT Services, and Pay It Outdoors, a private vendor, failed to deliver by its March 4th deadline. Why can't they get things done? Why are schools always over budget?
Right.
Why can't the state deliver what it says it's going to deliver?
It's not hard.
We shouldn't have to live this way.
No.
No
My
one's
question-
saying what's caused the delay or exactly when the apparent problems will be resolved. Only a vague target date to get online sometime this year, despite previous assurances everything was going to be up and running by now. I don't understand it. I don't understand the problems. Why can't you get things done that you say you're going to get done? Why? Why is this?
I wish I had the answer.
Why?
Wish I had the answer.
Well,
for
why
you.
do we even need this? Let's start there. For me, anyway. Why do I need this?
First of all, I don't know what it means. What is it? Would that mean if I was asked to see my fishing license, that would be on my phone?
Well, they're not clear about that, are they?
To me, having a piece of paper in my pocket is a lot more logical than having my phone out on the lake where it could fall in.
True.
You know, so I don't understand why we need this. I don't know what it is. But it continues to just cost us millions and millions and millions. You know what a good question would be? We can't answer it today.
Okay.
I don't know what made me think of this. We can't answer this question today. What has given rise to Trump's popularity? We always have joked around and said that's why Trump got elected. We come up with these little vignettes. But what deep down, what has given rise to it? We can't answer it today. It's something to think about. Something to think about.
I can tell you right now.
And that is why Trump got elected.
Okay.
It's our hatred for the government in every aspect of our life. It's drain the swamp. Get you people off our backs. Let us earn a living and live the American dream. Shut up. Get out of my life.
Leave me alone. Yep.
Okay. That's fine. I'm going to think about it.
Yeah. I'm sure your answer will be more well thought out.
Right. Flushed out a bit.
Not a ranting and raving nut living out in the middle of nowhere with a shotgun at every window and
Neighbor's
door.
got a dead cow in the driveway.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
You recall last week, I don't think you were here, Rook, but we had a Ray of Hope Friday of a gal, a teenager up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, who, what was she awarded? She was awarded...
Scholarship, wasn't it?
She was an expert in state competition for auto technology. She goes to Copper Country Intermediate School. She's in the Copper Country
Houghton,
Intermediate
right?
School District in Houghton.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she excelled in an automotive technology program. In other words, she's not like you.
Right. She can do stuff.
And who sent me this? Karen Cooper sent me this, and she has sent me some more information because we were suggesting Friday that we just didn't know enough about this gal whose name is Marjorie Miller.
Okay.
Well, she's a senior at Houghton High School, and she put her knowledge and skills on display by winning first place in the Automotive Service Technology Division of the Michigan Skills USA competition in Grand Rapids on Saturday, April 12. Miller's achievement highlights her dedication and the strength of the Auto Tech program. This marks the second consecutive year that a Copper Country Intermediate School District won the title. Last year, Calumet High School Auto Tech student Carter Worm was victorious. Carter Worm.
Carter Worm is a weird name.
This year, it was Houghton High School's Miller who won the UP regional competition. She won that earlier in the year. That earned her the spot in the state finals against and this is Michigan.
Yeah.
where they know their cars.
They know their cars.
So she competed against the top auto tech students from across Michigan. I think it's fantastic. She completed a series of 20-minute skills demonstrating various technical competencies from tool identification to diagnosing vehicle issues and determining solutions. Competitors were assessed throughout each station, with winners announced only at the conclusion of the event. Okay, I won't read you the whole thing, but I was sent wonderful background in this. She said she was really excited, and she thought the regionals were very hard, but they were fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, that's right. Now, because of this win, she goes to Atlanta for the national competition.
All right, this was regional.
This was the state.
Yes.
She's going to
the Yooper.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
What is her ultimate career goal?
Probably cars, some fashion of cars.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen Cooper, for sending that. And I just, again, continue to think it's a ray of hope. If we only had someone on the staff who was paying attention to the show, we could play that.
Here's today's
Ray of hope.
Ray of hope.
Here's today's ray of hope.
Sorry to put you out like that, Chris.
To answer Rookie's question,
Yeah.
Marjorie has already enlisted in the U.S. Navy as an aviation structural
I forgot
mechanic.
that. She's going
Were you
to
not
the-
paying attention last time we talked about her, John? Where were you? Do we
Well,
need to put a
Rook-
couple quarters in the coin
Well,
bucket?
I was answering Rook's question.
Yeah, because I wasn't here.
Yeah. So
I had a.
take that.
I wasn't here for the regionals.
Who was the guy up in the Yooper they used to mimic all the time? Wasn't that a character?
No,
Yoopers.
you're thinking of Frankie, the weather
that what
guy.
I'm thinking of?
I
Okay.
think you're thinking of Frankie, the
Okay.
weather guy.
He's Canada.
Yeah. Do you think he's turned his back on the U.S. now?
Probably.
I'd like to know
He probably
where he
won't.
is on tariffs.
In the spirit of Easter, Bill Walsh of the American Experiment has an Easter proposal for Governor Walz.
What is it?
He said, "Dear Governor Walz, your budget proposal includes the complete elimination of aid for non-public schools, which we've discussed. For 50 years, Minnesota has been supporting non-public schools and the students who attend them with a very modest reimbursement for basic services. The most common service amounts to a ride to school on one of those big yellow buses. This is a very cynical budget cut. You know Republicans will stand up for private schools and students, so you'll exact a heavy price from them at the bargaining table. Our colleague, Katrin Wigfall, has written extensively about your cut to non-public schools here. In the spirit of Easter, we accept this cut. No more bus rides, no more counseling services, no more textbooks, on one condition. You agree to sign into law our $7,000 for kids proposal that gives parents control of a $7,000 education savings account for each of their children every year. With parental choice through ESA's Educational Savings Account, Minnesota families can use the basic funds already located by the state to customize their child's unique educational needs, from tuition at any private school to homeschooling. And for your supporters in the teachers union who say there are no private school options in our small towns, just think of the new school ideas that could be hatched by parents and teachers knowing a $7,000 grant was at their disposal. Read all about the $7 for kids here, and you could link to it. If parents at Minnesota non-public schools and homeschools had access to a $7,000 educational savings account for each child each year, private schools would flourish and they wouldn't even miss the non-public school aid. The healthy competition would raise the standard of teaching and learning in the public schools as well. A win-win for everyone, especially for a governor whose number one goal is to make Minnesota the best state in the country for kids. Anyone paying attention knows Minnesota has lost all bragging rights about the quality of our K-12 schools. We've tried open enrollment, charter schools, tax credits and deductions, small class sizes, literacy programs, and new math. And, of course, we tried your favorite solution, more money. Nothing has worked to improve scores or close the achievement gap. It's time for real school choice in Minnesota. Please accept our proposal with hope on this Easter Sunday. Your friends at the Center of the American Experiment. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
You think this Chinese agent would go for that?
No.
I don't think so
No
either.
can do.
I don't think so either. Only because they come to us.
From where?
Well, they come to us, Chris, all the way from Marloth Park. It's a wildlife area in Mpumalanga Province, South Africa.
Do they celebrate
The
Easter?
traveling Lymans. Of course they do. And it was on this day.
Joe, today is April 21st.
Well, it was on this day in 1883 that Clarence Cap Wigington was born in Kansas. He was Minnesota's first African-American registered architect and the nation's first African-American municipal architect. He designed civic and residential buildings in St. Paul and created 6 designs for the St. Paul Winter Carnival ice palaces during his lengthy career. He died on July 7, 1967. So he had a good long life, did
Yeah,
Cap.
he did.
Mr. Wigington.
Mrs. Huygens.
On this day,
April 21st.
in 1891, James K. Hilliard, an African-American entrepreneur and intellectual, died in St. Paul. In addition to being co-founder of the Western Appeal, one of Minnesota's first black-owned newspapers, Hilliard, by active recruitment through newspapers and personal connections, was largely responsible for the influx of African-American professionals into the state in the 1800s.
Perfect health.
On this day,
On April 21st.
in 1899, am I bothering you?
No.
Okay. In 1899, the legislature created a state public library commission, which established a system of traveling libraries to serve rural areas.
So on like a stagecoach or something, huh?
And now we have those little library in neighborhoods, little boxes.
I like those. Those are neat.
Did you ever look at the books in them?
Once in a while.
Nope.
On this day,
On April 2-1.
in 1940, world-famous soprano Lily Pons gave a concert as her husband, Andre Kostelanetz, conducted the Minneapolis Symphony Orchestra. And it was on this day,
On April 21st.
in 1961, sports-related,
Oh, it's got to be Twins.
Yep.
First game?
first game at Metropolitan Stadium, losing to the new Washington Senators 5-3.
I didn't know that. So our first game was against the team that...
First home game.
First home game.
I think
okay.
they opened on the road, if I'm not mistaken, at Yankee Stadium. But you
are
can check
correct.
on that. Am
That's
I correct? Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, they won. Pedro Ramos. I remember.
My mind is amazing, isn't it?
Sharp like a tack.
Yeah.
Steel trap.
On this day in 2016, who died?
Oh,
2016.
no.
Prince.
Prince.
Died at his Chanhassen home, Paisley Park, from an accidental overdose of the opioid fentanyl. Millions of fans around the country mourned his loss.
That was 9 years ago already? Wow.
Died on
April 21st.
April 21st, 2016.
And I contend, because I was still in the bartending game, that was the last great weekend downtown. It was festive. It was fun. Everyone wanted to be out and be seen.
Well, what was happening?
The decline of downtown.
No. What was happening in April?
There were tributes all over the place. I remember it was a
you
Thursday.
mean for Prince?
Yeah, that weekend was the last great weekend of downtown Minneapolis, in my opinion.
What do you think happened on this day in sports disappointment history? On this day,
What year?
April 21st, 1961, the Twins lost to the
Lost to
Senators.
Washington. Yeah.
Did we just do that?
On this day,
On April 21st.
in 1974, Goldthorpe attacked Shella after Shella attacked Walton. I believe that's referring to the World Hockey Association. On this day,
On April 21st.
in 1991, The Vikings had no first or second round picks due to the Herschel Walker trade.
It was a big draft weekend.
Mm-hmm. Is he the guy who had the elephant for the
No,
birth?
that's Adrian Peterson.
That's right. This is a good one. On this day,
On April 21st.
in 2005, Ontario Smith of the
Oh,
Vikings
the Wizinator.
was busted at the airport with a Wizinator.
Isn't that the one where Royce said, I would pay you money to write this column?
Yep. And finally, on this day,
On April 21st.
in 2022, the Wolves blew 2 double-digit leads to Memphis. Yeah. The Wolves won their game Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs. They thumped the Lakers.
Yeah, they did.
And play again tomorrow night, I think as soon as 9 o'clock tomorrow night.
Be a late one.
Followed by another wonderful 10 o'clock start of the Wild playoffs. They lost 4-2 last night to the Vegas team.
I don't think that's going to make deadline.
No, not a chance in hell. Thank you very much, GLers.
Please do us a favor. If you haven't done so already, you should join the thousands of subscribers to the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah, that's right. Garage Logic has a YouTube channel, and on that channel, you can join in on the fun. You can also watch the show each and every single day, starting right around noon, and you can also interact with the show live. So subscribe to the Garage Logic YouTube channel. You can also follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and X. What am I forgetting? Oh, sign up for the Daily Logician. It's an email that comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. Just search for Garage Logic. That's all you got to do. It's just that simple. Catch you tomorrow.